welcome to a fun Thursday video where I am going to show you a really fun card making tutorial. I'm just back from the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip where we went to the luxurious Grand Floridian Hotel. And before I forget, let me pop up this mandatory disclaimer so that I don't get into trouble when I'm talking about this, but it was the most amazing experience. And one of the funnest things about the incentive trip is we do a fun swap with the achievers. And so I'm going to show you those swaps today, but I'm going to actually show you how to make my swap card that I did for the incentive trip. So let me turn the camera down and let's get started. Okay, let's take that disclaimer off. And let me just put up my website so that you get a bit of a reminder, stampinqueenbee.com. That is where you can find all of my past blogs, all of my past PDFs of any of the projects that we have created. The other thing you want to be aware of is my Buzz Bulletin. That is my weekly email that I send out to anyone who's subscribed. And I will include a free printable PDF with all the instructions, all the measurements, all the parts and pieces that you would need, and the step-by-step instructions to create my weekly projects. So this week, I'm going to show you my swap card, and I will show it to you here in a minute. But I featured the Round We Go bundle. And so this is a stamp set and die set that you can get together. Remember, when you buy a bundle, you do save 10%. So, woohoo for savings, right? Plus, we get our new Stampin' rewards so that you're going to earn free product on each of your following orders, which is a fun new perk that I really love. They really love to reward us at Stampin' Up! So, let me show you my swap card. So, here is the stamp set, the Round We Go. And I really think the star of this, the stamps are great. I love the sentiments. I love the font. But I think the star is these dies. And so let me show you. We went to the most magical place, right? And so I made a magical themed card. Time to celebrate for my swap card. And here's the fun. It's actually a fun fold. And so it will stand up. And let me show you kind of from the top. So that's how it would be. Isn't that a magical, fun shape that we created there with these dies? It probably will need a little bit of postage if you are mailing this out. If you're handing it to someone, it makes a great birthday type card. And when you open it like this, it's going to stand up. It's going to be a little easel card there. So time to celebrate, hip hip hooray would make a super fun birthday card, right? And then you open it up, you can write your message here. We've got some designer series paper. I'm going to show you how to create all of this. And there's even a little hidden magic in the corner. So that is the swap card I created for our magical incentive trip. And I'm going to show you how to do this. At the end of the video, I want you to stay tuned because I'm going to share with you the most awesome swap cards that I received because I think it's fun. You know, I know you love to see my creations, but I think it's fun to share others' creations with you as well. Okay, so let's start with some stamping. I've got a 1 3/4 circle, and so I just actually use my punch, my 1 3/4 punch, and punched this out. So you're actually going to need 3 of these. One of them we're going to stamp on. So I'm going to use this Time to Celebrate, which is one of the sentiments in our stamp set here from this Round We Go. I've got some Summer Splash here, one of my probably my favorite of the in colors that launched last year. And so I use it frequently. So we've got Time to Celebrate there. I'm going to put away my Summer Splash, and then I'm going to bring out another in color from that launched last year, which is Petunia Pop, and another sentiment, that Hip Hip Hooray, which is also from that stamp set. All right, and for this one, right in front of my face. I have a banner that I die cut using the Stylish Shapes dies. Now remember, I always refer to those as a staple crafting, card making, scrapbooking, paper crafting item. I think everyone needs these Stylish Shapes dies in their supplies, right? In their must-have supplies. Okay, so let's pull in a piece of scratch grid paper here, because I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. So you know I love my Wink of Stella glitter pin, and I love to speckle with it. So we're just going to squeeze a little bit out into the lid. So you can see I've got like a little drip in there. And I'm just going to use the end of that lid and the tip of the brush to give a little bit of shiny, glitzy speckles to both of my sentiments. And then we're going to set this aside to dry. That's why I wanted to get these done first, so that my Wink of Stella glitter sparkles. Do you see how those sparkles really show? I love that. Wink of Stella is another must-have staple, right? Craft room staple. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside to dry. And let's do some cutting with our base. So I've got my paper trimmer here, and this is just a piece of Summer Splash cardstock, and we are just going to cut this in half the long way at 4 1/4. Now remember, all of the measurements I will have in my weekly Buzz Bulletin, so you want to make sure you click in the description below, or you can go on my website at stampinqueenbee.com and you can sign up to be part of my free Buzz Bulletin. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it, and at 4 1/4 we're going, at 5 1/2, we're going to, because we want to score this in half, so that would be 5 1/2. We will score that, and then we're going to kind of flip it around, either side really, and at 2 3/4, we're going to give it another score. So we should have a score here, and a score here, and then a long piece. So a short, short, and a long. Okay, so now we are done with our paper trimmer. And let me grab my bone folder. So I'm going to first take my cardstock, and we're going to, in half, we are going to burnish that. And I think I need to change my blade. Do you see how my cardstock looks a little bit afraid? I'm actually really glad that happened, because I'm going to show you how you can easily get that off. So you're going to get an extra tip today. So if your blade is ever giving you fits, it's probably time to change it. So I will change it as soon as this video is done. But you can see it does that. So I've just got a nail buffer, right? And so I'm just going to take this and go right along that edge that was frayed. And look, now all of that is gone, right? So we can do it now on the other side. Didn't know you were going to get this tip today, right? So you don't want to do this every time, because it is a little consuming, right? But it works. So now we've got our nice cardstock. So back to our folding. So we're going to take our bone folder again, and this top piece should have that score in the middle, and we're just going to fold that piece and burnish that with our bone folder. So now we've got kind of this fold as such. And now we can start putting our card together. So, you know, I know there's a lot of fun folds on the market, but they don't always have to be super labor intensive, right? It can be an easy fun fold. That is sometimes my favorite. All right, so I'm gonna bring in some parts and pieces that I have already cut for us so that you can see how we put these on. So let me grab my liquid adhesive. This is just a piece of basic white. This is going to be where we add our message, right? So this is actually going to go, we're going to open this up, and it's going to go right here on the center top of our opening here. We're going to take some designer series paper, and I'm sure you're wondering, where is this beautiful paper from? So this is from the Unbounded Beauty designer paper. I love this. So many great, you know, kind of basic patterns, and then also these beautiful florals. And so this is actually a carryover designer series paper that I am so glad that it carried over because it's beautiful, and I love all the colors that are in that. So that is where this designer paper, look, it's so hard. Which side do I use, right? So we're gonna use and feature that Summer Splash print. And this one is gonna go in the middle here at the top. Okay, so I started with our inside of our card. That's really the inside of our card, this part here, right? And this will then make our outside. So what I did is I took a piece, two pieces actually, of basic white, and I have this embossing folder. So this is the Dotted Circles 3D embossing folder. And I took two pieces of basic white and I put them one kind of at the top. See how our circles kind of go like this? So I put one at the top, and then I kind of skipped a little bit of space and put another one here at the bottom. So I got the bottom of the circle. So then what that created when those came out was kind of this circular pattern of embossed cardstock. So you can see it's raised up, super pretty. I loved those circles. So we have those two pieces, and so the top of the circles is gonna go on the top piece here. So we're just gonna center that right on. Hold that there for a second. And then with the card closed like this, I will put on my bottom piece. And I do that to make sure that it's evenly spaced and that it looks good from the front opening. That way nothing is overlapping, because I want a bit of our Summer Splash showing from the front. And so then there you have, that is the bones of our card, the mechanics of it, right? Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to set this aside along with our sentiments. We will come back to that. And let me bring in these Round We Go dies, because this really is the star of today's video. So this is how we make these fun rosettes. That's what they call these rosettes. And I had all kinds of fun. Let me show you a couple of them. Here is my card that we're going to be doing, but you can make all kinds of fun rosettes using these dies. So this die here, you can see I used a bit of glimmer paper, and it kind of puts the impression, the embossed impression right here. Isn't that fun? So that's one, and you can see it's a fun rosette. You can put these on a stick and have them sticking out of cakes. Here's another one where I use this center circle here to create kind of a bigger medallion there in the middle. And then what you can do with those is you can, this is kind of what we're going to do today, you can double them up. This is some glimmer paper. Put your sentiment in there. I use designer paper for the rosette part. And there you have that fun rosette. But I kind of liked our magical rosette, that's what we're going to call this one, with his ears. And so let's create that today. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to that you can use to create this. We'll leave this here so you can see. The first thing you're going to do is this die. So this die, you're actually going to want to cut out two of them so that you can make this circular rosette. You're going to need two of them to do that. You're also going to need some tear and tape and either some liquid glue or some hot glue. And you're going to need a couple of other circles here in a moment. So let me pull those there ready to show you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some tear and tape. This is the best way I've found to use this, to put these together. We're going to take, you can see one end kind of has that little tab the other end is straight. So on that tabbed end, we're gonna put a piece of tear and tape on each of those tabbed ends. One more here. Now, if you notice, I ran this through the die and it is flat still. So you want to make sure, this is my big tip for doing these rosettes. Well, one of my big tips is that you do not corrugate them until we've done this part. So we've got our 2 tear and tapes at the top. We're going to take one of the backings off of those. We're going to take our other one. So we've got our sticky part here. And we're just gonna line these up right along. There's like a score line there. Hopefully you can see that, but right along that edge, you're gonna line that up and then you're gonna push it down. So this is where the tearing tape is most effective, because liquid glue, you would have to sit there and hold it a long time. You don't want to use your hot glue if you're using hot glue on this part, because it will not be flush when you put them together. There'll be like a glue bubble there, right? And so we don't want that. So you want it to do that. Now that they are connected, now we can start our folding back and forth with these score lines. What I have found is if you fan this, fold it, accordion it, whatever you want to call it, ahead of time, then they don't line up correctly when you're trying to make your rosette. So now that they're connected, now we can do our back and forth. So you can see I'm just folding this along the score lines, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's super easy because the die really does all the work, right? It does all those score lines for us. Can't imagine having to score a paper all the way through, right? Okay, so a few more here. I'm actually going to do this 2 times for you so you can really see how we make this rosette. Okay, so now I've got all those kind of folded in accordion, and then we'll undo it and you can see that beautiful accordion with 2 of those rosette strips, right? Okay, now we're going to peel this piece off. That's that tear and tape that we put on there before. And we want to make sure that we've got the same end. You know, you don't want it to be like that, right? So you want the rounded end lined up with the rounded end, the pointed with the pointed. And then we're just going to go ahead and stick that together. Kind of push that down. Okay, so now we've got all of our, we've got this little ring, we'll call it, right? So you can do this either way. If you want the points out, then you'll fold these rounded edges inside. If you want the rounded edges out, which I do, we're gonna put the points on the inside. So I'm just gonna lay it there on my table, like that connected round. And all I'm gonna do is kind of grab both sides and I'm gonna push into the middle. You wanna see that again? So we've got our rounded circle there. We've connected it, everything is accordioned, it's tear and taped together, and we're just gonna take both sides and we're gonna push in the middle, and that, see, you wanna hold it from both sides, right? Now I just flipped it inside out, so let me flip that back, there we go. Okay, so now we're just gonna push from the middle and we're gonna hold both sides. If you let go, it'll pop up, right? And so that makes our circle, our little pinwheel circle. Okay, so how are we gonna put this together? So let me show you one way and then I will show you the other. So the first way is gonna be using regular liquid glue. So I've got another one of those circle punches, just out of some basic white. That's the 1 3/4 punch. So I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna lay this, let me grab my grid paper here. So I'm just gonna lay that on my grid paper, and I'm gonna put a good amount of liquid glue right on that. I'm gonna take my rosette here, and you can see I just kind of put it over top of that circle with the glue. And then I'm gonna take my rosette, I'm gonna push it down right over that, okay? And I'm gonna make sure I'm holding kind of both ends. going to take my liquid glue again, and I'm going to put kind of a healthy dose here into that middle circle. And I'm going to take, you can take another circle, we'll do that for the purpose of this, another one of those white circles, and we're going to put that in the middle. Now if you're using liquid glue like I just did, it's going to need a lot of time to dry. So here is my tip for that. We're going to take a acrylic block and we're going to stick that on top of it, and we're going to leave that. So if you're doing it this way with our liquid glue, it's going to need a good bit of dry time. So we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to show you it one more time so that you can see how to do those rosettes, because I know that can be the trickiest part. So we've got 2 more pieces. This is a different pattern of our designer paper. So do you remember what we did? We grabbed our tear and tape. This one will go much faster. I just like to give you a good review, and I want to show you how to do it if you are using hot glue. So we're going to take our tear and tapes, put those on both of those tabbed ends. Take one of those off. Do you remember the good tip? We're not going to accordion it yet. We're just going to go ahead and add this tab to connect our 2 strips here. Okay, got those connected. Make sure they're good. Now we're going to do our accordion, back and forth, back and forth. These are so fun to make. They're kind of addictive once you get it. Took me a few to practice. That's why I'm doing a few with you, and it may take you a few as well. But the more that you make them, the more you want to make them. They're just kind of a fun little treat. I've seen them done as cake toppers, put a stick to them. I've seen them made into a fun little bouquet. You can make them into fun badges. Okay, so we've got that, or you can put them on your cards, right? So we've got our accordion fold here. We'll take off our other piece of tear and tape at the top. We're gonna flip this around and line that up. Squeeze that together so that it's secured. Make sure all of our accordions are still folding. There they are. Okay, now I'm going to put my pointed end in. Remember, it's there, a circle, so we're just going to go ahead and push this down from both sides. And voila, there is our beautiful rosettes, right? So now let's put this together. Let me grab this is my hot glue gun here. So we're going to grab another one of those circles, those 1 3/4 circles. And if you haven't done this, I love to pre-punch a bunch of them. I just have a little label on there, and I use my scraps, and then I have them just in a little fun pouch, so I have them ready to go. Okay, so my hot glue gun's been heating here. So we're just going to take our hot glue gun. So if you don't want to let yours dry, we can just put in our hot glue here. There we go. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put our little rosette right over it and push it down. This time, instead of using a white circle there, we're actually just going to go ahead and take our hot glue gun again. This is a cordless one. There we go. It's great for the craft room. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time with the hot glue, we're going to put it in that little circle in the middle, and then we're going to squeeze it just a tad on the outside. It'll smush out. There we go. But you want a good amount of it so that it hooks everything together. So then now I'm going to take one of my big circles here. I'm going to stick that at the top. Remember, it's warm, so be careful. And we're just gonna make sure that that is centered. So this, I actually used a piece of glimmer paper, and I die cut it using this bigger die here, this one. And we use the next piece we'll use is with some designer paper. But let me show you this glimmer paper. Just wanted to make sure that's stuck down. So you can see the back will look like that. That's kind of our holding place, right? So you could use a scrap, any color, it doesn't really matter. And then this will be kind of the center of our rosette medallion. And so since we use the hot glue, it is stuck, ready to go. So that glimmer paper that I used is from our Pastel Ombre collection of glimmer paper. Glimmer paper is one of my favorite because it's like glitzy and sparkly and glittery, but it doesn't come off. I stuck to the paper, so it's not all gonna make a mess. So I actually use this piece here to cut these. Another fun glimmer paper you could use is our in color glimmer paper. This is the 24-26 in color paper, and so we've got, you know, the summer splash. You can see I've used a bunch of it, and so either of those would work if you're using that Unbounded Beauty designer paper. Okay, so I then die cut this piece, which is this smaller die here, for the center. Could use either side, right? So let's go ahead and add this. This is just some liquid glue. You could use your hot glue, but you don't need to. For this part, the hot glue just helps your rosette to set a bit quicker, right? Make sure that's in the center. And there we have a beautiful rosette. Isn't that fun? Okay, so we want to take our stamped sentiment from the beginning, our time to celebrate. This, we're just gonna add some liquid glue, and we're going to put that right in the center there. So we've got time to celebrate. See how perfect that 1 3/4 punch fits into this die? I love it. Okay, so now we need some magical ears to create today's card. And so for this, I am gonna use my hot glue because I just wanna make sure that this is set for our card today. So we're just gonna add two little blobs there, and we're just gonna line this to get some magical ears. Just hold that down. See, the hot glue is kind of like insta dry. So if you don't wanna wait, you don't wanna let it set up and wait, then the hot glue is great for that. So we've got some magical ears there. Let's check on our one that's drying with liquid glue here. You take off our acrylic block, and I can still feel that it is a bit wet still, so it probably needs a little bit more time. So I'm just gonna stick my block right back on, and we'll just let that set. We'll just let that set up. Okay, so now let's move all of this to the side. Bring in some Stampin' Dimensionals. You've seen all the dies and how fabulous they are with today's set. We're gonna want our magical ears rosette we created to kind of be centered with our dotted embossing folder, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some Stampin' Dimensionals to my magical ears here. 3 should be good. And that way it's, you know, holding on our whole rosette that we created. Just peel those backings off, and our card is almost done. There are parts and pieces to it, but it's not a complicated card, which is nice, right? Okay, so we're just gonna kind of center this, and I'm just kind of looking because I want it centered with those dots. And I will just hold that there, and you can see we want this part to hang off. That's why I only added those dimensionals to the backs of those ears. You can see the back of your rosette, but when they're opening the card to put it like this and to read your message, they really aren't going to see the back. They would have to really open it up, right? Okay, so now we're going to take our other sentiment, our hip hip hooray. Like, where did I set that? There it is. Okay. That we stamped in the beginning with a couple of dimensionals as well. You can see the sparkle from our Wink Estella on the back of that. So we'll just add 3 dimensionals here, and then we'll finish with a bit of bling. But don't go away, because I want to show you my incentive trip friends swap cards that I got on the trip. Okay, so now we're going to take our hip hip hooray, and we're just going to line it up with this bottom piece here. This is going to be like our little bumper, and this is going to help our easel card to stay open. So now we're just going to take our little rosette there. It's just going to kind of rest along our sentiment, and you can see, let me kind of put it to the side, you can see that it will stand up just like that. So it's a fun mantle card they can put on their desk and have this fun time to celebrate reminder. Well, it needs a little bling, and so I used the Druzy embellishments in silver, and I created a little hidden magic. And so you want to just go ahead and put one of the bigger ones there. It's not really hidden, but you know the fun of those magical places, and finding those hidden gems is one of the fun parts, right? So let's take 2 of the smaller ones, and we'll create little ears just like our rosette. And our card is done. We've got bling, we've got celebration, we've got a fun rosette, and you could, with your designer paper, really change the look of the rosettes, right? Because here's another one, that the first one that I created, and do you see we've got more of the petunia pop, and this one has a little more of the summer splash. So lots of fun options with creating these rosettes. And like I said, I had all kinds of fun creating different rosettes. That was just the start. I was like a rosette making machine. So I hope you enjoyed today's card. You could also leave off the magical ears if you just wanted to have your medallion there. Without that, it would work just the same way, right? You would just put your dimensionals on the top of here and then have it hang down just like that. Lots of fun options. Okay, so let me grab my swap cards, and again, let me put this up so I stay compliant, but here is the disclaimer that I must share with you about our incentive trip, and it was so much fun. I took my family with me, and we just had a blast. And so one of my favorite parts, you know, rest, relaxation, all the fun activities and excursions, the luxurious room. I mean, all of that is over the top. And I'm so grateful for each of my team members and my customers for helping me to earn that trip. But one of my favorite parts is the swap. So they gave us this fun card. Thank you for participating in the swap. And I actually took my annual catalog and I kind of organized this cards so I could show you what sets they were from. So this is our new annual catalog. If you need a catalog packet from me and you haven't yet got yours, if you are one of my customers, you should have already received your package in the mail. But if not, there is a catalog request form on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com. You can submit that and I will get a catalog package to you. Okay, so let's start with these fun swaps that I got. So the first set is the Sweet Blooms Pretty Florals. This is a sweet collection on page 41, Florals in Bloom. You can see that Stampin' Up! Has given us so many great ideas and this beautiful designer series paper. So let me show you some of these cards. We've got Bloom Where You're Planted. Isn't that beautiful with that die? This is the die here, Bloom, and they actually die cut it twice, Bloom Where You're Planted. This one is from Dina Ricow, and she created this beautiful card using those papers and stamps. I just love that die. Okay, the next card comes from Sharon Davis, and she created this fun hello card. We've got our damask embossing folder in there. Isn't that pretty? This paper just absolutely shines. I think I love every single pattern in here, right? Usually we have a favorite, but I think all of them are beautiful. Here's another one, Celebrate. This one is by Alicia Graham, and we've got the inside of her card there using those beautiful stamps. Love those. And this is another stamp set with sentiments. What is that one? I don't know, blooming phrases, I think, but it's beautiful, and you can see that paper. Then we've got Thinking of You by Ann Oshiro. She's from Hawaii. That's fun. That is another thing I really loved about the trip, was meeting people from all over, all the different countries, you know, my Canadian friends and new people from the UK and all over in all the markets that we are in were there. It was just so fun. Then I Appreciate You. Now you can see many of the DSPs there and more of those fun die cuts from that Pretty Florals. And this one was made by Karen Titus, the back porch stamper. Beautiful, beautiful card. I love how she used those die cuts. Okay, so that is one set of cards. Let's flip through and find our next ones. So this is the Turtly Cute Sweet Collection. You can see there is a stamp set with these fun turtles and this beautiful designer series paper. We've got these hexagon gems that I love. Embossing folder that kind of looks like a turtle shell, and some beautiful ribbon. Makes for a really fun set. So the first card is using a lot of that DSP. They cut this out, die cut this out, stamped the hooray. There you can see those gems. Now this one didn't have someone for me to give credit to, but it is beautiful. I really love, they use the party banner dies, which are one of my favorites from the new catalog. And I love how they strung that ribbon right through there, so it almost looks like the banner is hanging right from the card. So beautiful card. If you were on the trip and created this, please leave me a comment and tell me who you are. It's totally cute. Totally cute, right? The next card with this set was created by my friend in Canada, Miss Rosemary Coleman. Most of you know her. She's a dancing girl on our videos and has become a great friend. And she made this cute, turtly cute card, Hooray Sweet Friend. And I love, this is kind of a fun fold. So she left off this front part. She actually cut down the middle, I think, and then adhered this white, basic white kind of flap after she cut that right here, and then added that DSP to it. So that is just a fun way to make a fun fold, right? Turtly cute. Great job, Rose. I love that. Okay, so let's keep flipping and let's see. The next set comes from the beautiful Gallery Suite. You can see a theme here. A lot of the incentive trip achievers used these sweet collections because there are just so many products in there and so many things you can do with them, right? So the stamp sets in here are the Gallery Blooms and the beautiful motifs. Now look at these cards. So here's the first one. This was made by Krista Crafty. And how beautiful. This is kind of like a vintage antique-y looking. I love how this Gallery Bloom stamp, which you will see a couple more in there, is kind of like antique, vintage, kind of shabby, right? It's so cute. Just a note. And that came from the beautiful motifs, that sentiment. And we've got a die cut here from that beautiful motifs that she put right behind this stamp. She cut out this, and this damask embossing folder is brand new, and you can see she used it here to get that kind of subtle impression. And I love how she made this kind of rugged edge to that. This is using some two-tone cardstock to get that little bit of white there. And I love how she listed everything she used. Isn't that just so beautiful. So if you love this card, that's how she made it. Thanks, Krista. Okay, the next one comes from Melissa Ellis. Melissa Ellis from Chesapeake, Virginia, and she used that same embossing folder. Now this time, this is on cardstock. So you can see on the two-tone cardstock versus our regular thicker cardstock, we've got that floral from the Gallery Blooms, and look how different it looks just when we change the ink color, right? It gives it such a different look. This one used our Celebrate along with those stylish shapes dies that I love. And this frame here is from the die set that goes with the Gallery in Blooms. There are a couple of frame dies in there, so I love how she used that. And the inside she stamped just beautifully as well. And then the last card from the swab, and now this is such a fun card. So this is from Jarmila Vick, and she made this super fun fold using this designer paper from the Sweet collection. So this is the beautiful Gallery 6x6 paper. If you haven't yet seen it, it is like photo, like it looks like an oil painting, right? And she made this fun scenery card using this. So watch the wow when I open this up, this fun fold. So she's got 3 panels there. And we actually really get to see, it's this piece here, but we really get to see the entire scene when we open this up. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. And she used some, these are from the online exclusive sailboat set, those birds, but I just love how she used the paper. I always hate, right, especially in these scenery papers, to cut off part of the scene, and so this is a great way to be able to see it in its entirety. So beautiful job, love those cards. Okay, let's see, I think, are there any more? I think that's it from our annual catalog. So those are the swaps from there, but there's more because we have an entire online exclusive section of our store now. So, you know, our catalog can only hold so much, and so Stampin' Up! Has given us more sets, more options online. So we have an online exclusive section, and let me just share with you some cards that came from there. So the first one, congratulations to the happy couple on your wedding day. How cute is that, right? Just married. I love how she did all these die cuts. This is from Eldonna Epp, and she used the classic wedding bundle, the beautiful motifs that we just saw, right? And then some foils and colors. So isn't that just beautiful? I love that. Anybody who got married would just love that. Here is another set. Now this is from one, you can see we've got a different language here, right? Is that French? I think maybe. So this is from Rachel at Scrappinium by Rachel. How fun, right? And so she left us this great note. I hope you like my card. Happy swapping. Enjoy the trip. How fun, right? And so this is the landscapes. I think it's beautiful landscape, something landscape set, and she colored that in so beautifully, right? And then we've got our sentiment. So beautiful card there. Then we have this set, which I love. It's so cute. This cute little dragon, I Believe in You. And this was made by my friend Celine Kempton. I love that she said this swap equals sealed with a prayer. Thanks for swapping with me. Love that, Celine. I don't know if you're watching, but beautiful, beautiful card. She used some of this new paper that we have. Love that. And there's some more paper there. And this is kind of a fun flip fold, right? When you open it, you still get to see that beautiful front. And we've got another card using that set. This time they stamped it all over. I Believe in You. And this is from Steffi Waltner in Germany. Isn't it fun to see all these different countries represented? Love that. Love, love, love that. Then we've got our cute piggy, and this was made by Cindy Bowman. And she is stamped with Aloha. That's why she's got this cute Aloha girl there. And I love how she made her pig an Aloha pig. Do you see its grass skirt using ribbon? I mean, I would never have thought of that, and that is just the cutest. So thinking of you, brings a smile to my face. And look at this. This is kind of another fun fold where the piggy is kind of the front of the card, and you can see that sentiment right through the inside and the outside. So super cute. Love that, Cindy. And I mean, that is just the cutest piggy with a grass skirt. I never would have thought, right? So I love that piggy. Then we've got our sailboats cards, and this one is so fun. This was made by Sandra Christelle. Now, if I've messed up any of your names, I'm so sorry. And she made this magnet card. So there is a magnet on this flap, and it kind of holds it together. And wait till you see the inside. So we've got our fun sailboat, those birds, beautiful stamping there. And I'm not quite sure what that says, but it's beautiful. And then she gave us this fun Disney World wooden piece in there. Love that. She personalized it for our trip, but we've got a magnet in here, and then there's one underneath here. It's just a real thin magnet, and it keeps that closed. I love that. We've got that beautiful stamping there. That is actually our painted stripes stamp set, and I love how she rounded those corners. Just beautiful. And then one more with our sailboat. This was made by Cindy Fodor, and we've got our sailboat. We've got some frames. This is the textured notes frames, and congratulations, love that. You deserve the best. And then we've got our beautiful inside. So love that, Cindy. And then we've got a few more here. I think we've got maybe 5 more to show you real quick. So we've got our Thankful Garden. That is a set that I've showed you. That we have this card as another example, Thankful for You. This is from Donna Melcher. And she used our plaid embossing folder for the back there. Love that. We've got our Cake Celebrations, another online set. And this card was made by Lisa Miltakis. And how elegant is that, right? I would not have thought to put this painted embossing folder with it, but doesn't it kind of look like frosting? I think I might do that. Love that. Love getting these ideas. All right, then we have our Impressions of Bloom online exclusive stamp set, and we've got, I think, 4 cards from here. So this beautiful paper is part of this Impressions of Bloom online suite. Isn't that fun? So that's a fun card. Who made this? Jan Faring made this card. Beautiful fun fold. I'm so grateful. This one was made by Janie Becker, and this one has a belly band. And we open that up. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. So fun way to showcase that DSP, right? Then we've got another one using the stamps. This one is made by Candy Rattray, and I love, she embossed the front of this on the actual card base. So instead of embossing a layer, she embossed just this half, put that in through, left this open probably, and ran that through. And we've got our new glass embossing folder here, and then our textured notes, and she did the stamping with those stamps. Love that. And last one with the Impressions of Bloom was made by Elodie from France. Love that. Her cute little note for us. Relax and enjoy. You earned it. Love all that stamping. And she used, this is that new Secret Sea paper cardstock color from our new In Colors. And these are all the new In Colors that she stamped with. I love that. Thanks, Elodie. Okay, and then 2 more here. We've got our Paper Tags Stampin' Die set, and I showed you this. It's one of my favorites, but I was wowed when I got this card. It's like a mini card, a mini slimline card from Sophie Prestrel. I'm probably totally saying that wrong, and made a cute little thing for our trip. But look at this. She used the elements of text, a little bit of splattering, and then look at what she did. So she blended a piece of probably basic white. Yeah, I think I looked. Basic white. She did some blending, kind of an ombre look with maybe some pumpkin pie, some melon mambo, and maybe some misty moonlight. I'm not sure, but 3 of those colors. She blended those kind of in that ombre style onto a piece of basic white, and then she stamped this over it using Versamark and embossed with black embossing powder, so that's where you get that shine, and then just put some ribbon through that. I loved this card. I was like, it's so cute, right? I love that mini slimline. So thanks so much, Sophie. And then last but not least, our Pop and Buy is another online exclusive set. And this card was made by Michelle Litwiller, and she made this "No one's butter than you." Isn't that a cute sentiment? No one's better butter than you. I love butter on the popcorn, right? And then she stamped the cute guy. There is some die cuts with this bundle that give you those glasses and shoes, because you know, popcorn guy needs to walk, right? So cute, Michelle. Okay, so let me just bring lots of these back in, and you'll see why this is totally one of my favorite parts of the trip and of our Stampin' Up! Events. You know, if you ever go to a Stampin' Up! Event, you will know that we have these fun swaps, and you know, that really is one of the funnest parts of our events, is just getting ideas from each other. Look, I've got ideas for days. Fun ideas from each other that we can take back to our craft room and inspire each other with. And you know, that community, that community with each other, that fun, that camaraderie, that is what makes all of that so fun. So thanks so much for letting me share my swap card, and also letting me showcase all of my friends on the incentive trip. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. You know, we swap them around, and you don't always get to see everybody, right? So thank you for letting me share those with you. I hope you are totally inspired, and I hope you caught that we've got lots in our annual catalog, but we've got even more inspiration and even more fun products in our online store. So check those out if you haven't yet. Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you for Template Tuesday, and next week also for our Thursday card class. So have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.